Richard Jack Smith of Real Talk Movie Reviews. It's with great pleasure that I review Mortal Kombat by Benjamin Wallfisch. Wallfisch is a very exciting composer. I was most impressed by his scores for Gamba or Airbound, It Chapter 2, Shazam and Hellboy. What a fantastic score. And now with Mortal Kombat he doesn't disappoint. I'd like to briefly go into a little bit of detail about George S. Clinton's original score for Mortal Kombat first, as that might be a jumping off point for most listeners. It was infamously criticised by Christian Clemenson on the Film Tracks website, but I can honestly say, having listened to it briefly today, the dubstep or electronic dance music, the bass that's quite heavy in the score, didn't actually annoy me as much as I thought it would. In fact, I didn't find it annoying at all. And while Wallfisch does introduce some dubstep elements into his score, they are intelligently applied. In fact, for the most part, Mortal Kombat doesn't really go into that heavy electronic vibe. There are some major orchestral and choral forces at play here. Consider Hanzo Hisashi, around 4 minutes 40 into that track. There's a Hilary Hahn type violin solo, which will be familiar from James Newton Howard's The Village. I was most surprised by that element. The woodwind tones in that track also very, very good. There are some major highlights in this entire album experience. For casting his net so wide and for daring to shake up the soundtrack experience, Wallfisch deserves some major kudos. Yes, it's true that the dubstep elements might prove divisive for some, hitting the sonic ceiling and producing some gain levels which some might find a little bit unwieldy. I personally didn't have a problem with that. And if you listen to his horror scores, especially like Annabelle Creation and It, occasionally these distortions do come in, but they're just an effect. They're just part of the overall package that comes with that type of music. And Wallfisch, as I say, is very, very clear-headed about the way that he applies these things to his work. He doesn't go overboard with them. He doesn't rely solely upon them. Dramatic contrast reigns here. And so we come to tracks such as Sonya Blade and Birthmark. More highlights. In fact, this is an album which at 80 minutes long did not feel like 80 minutes, felt a lot shorter. It's packed to the rafters with highlights, and is already, along with Tom and Jerry, Last Warrior, Root of Evil and Woman in Motion, one of my favourite scores of 2021. In fact, it may have just taken the lead slightly. Wallfisch is a very talented, exciting and innovative film composer who is pushing the envelope in ways which are unexpected. In fact, that's what I look for in film music. I mean, there's no secret that my favourite word of all time is aleatoric, which means element of surprise, unpredictable, and that best describes what he does here. Yes, some will find the electronic dance elements to be a little bit jarring. It may not be their cup of tea. I've read comments, people saying about Techno Syndrome 2021, oh, it's going to be more like this, not my cup of tea. But hey, everybody's different. And I think it's important to have a very progressive outlook with Wallfisch's music. He's definitely in that postmodern vibe here. He's introducing elements which call back to the Mortal Kombat game, and he's updated it. Some of the vocals for Techno Syndrome 2021, Test Your Might, very, very effective. And while we're on the subject of bass, which can be an annoying element in scores when it's not used appropriately, I have to say it's not a film score, rather a personal experience that was the worst for me. I used to have neighbours who would play music, not film music, just regular, music that you'd hear in a club or something, and so they would have the volume up really loud and it felt like gorillas were dancing on your head. That's probably the worst example I've personally come across. And like I say, I wasn't at all put off by Clinton's work on the original Mortal Kombat film. And as I say, Wallfisch, he introduces so many different types of element here, and he's not restricting himself to just one style, and he's changing it up, and there's some very emotional stuff here. Not overly emotional, he's definitely keeping it in check. I would definitely recommend this for people who are open-minded about such things. Granted, that not everybody's going to latch onto this and think it's great. Not everyone's going to think it's bad. It's a difference of opinion should always be celebrated and should always be embraced. For my part, I absolutely love the score to Mortal Kombat, like the ones previously mentioned by Wolfish. It's a fantastic experience which changes up the sense of what one would want from a soundtrack and gives us something entirely new, while also having the call back to those old games and the elements that you want to get up off your feet and to make you start moving and doing all this wonderful stuff. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's 80 minutes. It moves like a dream, and it's intelligently constructed, and emotionally I found myself hooked from beginning to end. So for me, it's 5 out of 5 stars, and could be a strong contender for my favourite film score or the best film score of 2021. For more film and soundtrack reviews, please visit Betty Jo Tucker's website, Real Talk Movie Reviews. On Facebook you can find my pages, Hypnotic Movie Reviews and Hypnotic Soundtrack Reviews. You can also find me on Twitter at mbeanfan101. I am Richard Jack Smith. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.